You really left me open for that. Kiva. I'm just kidding. You know, I was like,
Kiva,
I just went with a very like,
fuck
yeah. You went like, cold, like very experienced, and I went very Christina Aguilera with it. With
We're gonna cut all of this anyways.
who know? Well, we don't really have choices now. I mean, I guess.
Insert Alicia. Brandon has no say in the matter.
Hey, Dropouts! I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Brandon, and you're listening to the Religious Dropouts podcast.
Ooh, 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 ooh. That was the best flowing intro we have ever had. We just blew it out of the water.
Gold stars going on our charts for sure.
Absolutely.
Chelsea, growing up, how many gold stars did you get in school?
Dude, Miss I think actually I don't know what her name was now. Oh, no, I lost it. I'm sorry. She used to have a chart that had cards on it. So rather than stars, she did red card, yellow card, green card.
Mm-hmm.
And it
us too.
Oh, really?
In a pocket folder, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we were of that, like the generation, like our parents was more of the star situation,
yeah.
or it's just like younger, and as you get older, you do the cards. I don't know, but I feel like I was consistently on a yellow red. You know,
I was a yellow red.
Yeah,
I got in trouble so many times growing up in school.
For what mainly though? Like what was the main trouble?
Oh, I was talking in class always.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where I always sat close to teachers because that was the only way to keep me quiet.
And it really wasn't even that wouldn't even work because I talked to the teacher.
No, because I talked with the teacher, and then I thought I was funny, right? Because like they'd put my desk right next to theirs, and I'd start asking like I'm the like assistant teacher, and I'd be like, "No, you have to turn your papers into me first."
What's the thing that Summer calls herself in School of Rock, the class factotum or whatever? That's what I was too. That's what I would play like. You put me next to you, then I guess I'm the leader of the class.
Yeah.
So funny, dude.
Instant promotee.
No way.
So what are we talking about? All sorts of stuff? A little appetizer sampler?
Dude, you know what I would do for an appetizer platter, actually. Or sampler right now from like anywhere, honestly. But anyways. Well, I was thinking instead of life updates, because we normally talk about some little life updates, but I thought today we could talk, kind of start out with the last episode we brought up, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, but either way, we talked about the Barbie movie a little bit, and we actually both just went and seen it. So I just kind of wondered, what were your thoughts, favorite parts? Like, was there anything you hated? Like, just give me the tea.
First of all, it starts off amazing, and it starts off with that Lizzo song. And everything that was going right. You remember how she wakes up and she knows she's gonna be, or whatever it is. That's a different song.
That's a different song, but same vibe.
Oh my God. It's a similar vibe.
Say? What is the words? Wait, I was about to say everything is awesome, which is another different song. I'm sorry.
She waves to her Barbie friends. She floats down. She gets herself some milk.
I can see it.
And I loved all the toy references.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like when the milk doesn't actually pour and when the mirror actually doesn't have a reflection, and how they make a joke about how it's all open, the homes are open, like Barbie Dream House doesn't have any walls. Like that's hilarious.
Yeah. I love that too.
But I loved Weird Barbie, but I'll tell you my favorite part. Hands down right now. Weird Barbie killed it. But my favorite part, hands down right now, is when Ken found out that patriarchy exists in the real world.
Oh my God.
And he has this revelation of like, oh shit. Bro. We've been doing this whole thing wrong. Somebody's got to tell the other Kens that in the real world, men run everything. And he comes back with like this fascination over horses with this like Western vibe, and which is so hilarious.
Oh shit, dude.
That's my favorite plot. That being the plot twist of the movie is gold.
It was
And I don't
hilarious.
even care to say spoiler alert because like that
Yeah.
the rest of the movie's incredible still.
Yeah.
What
I
about you? What was your favorite part?
That was hilarious. I loved that. Because I think Ryan Gosling was just phenomenal. I mean, talk about a breakout character. Like, never would I have thought that I would have really cared, especially saying next to Margot Robbie. Like, I mean, come on. But I was
For
pleasantly like,
real.
wow. Like, I really, really loved him. You know, there are dudes that left that movie like, yeah, I wish our world was like that world.
Ken had something right when he came back with that patriarchy stuff.
Let's bring that back. Like it's not still all the time, like I
I prefer complementarian actually, but
it was so funny. I loved the which is funny because Alicia, one of my really good friends, said the same thing, but I loved the part where Margot Robbie, who I really do think is a phenomenal actress, but
oh, she was incredible.
she sits at the bus stop and she looks at the old lady and she's like, "You're beautiful." And that moment was so emotional for me as a woman,
I
but
kind of got
dude,
emotional.
emotional. Are you all right? Can you stand now? Has it come back or like is that a
What did the kids say? I don't know.
I was shooketh. But yeah, it was so wholesome and so precious. And the fact that they had the old lady, like the writing in the movie where she's like, I know. I'm like, stop. Like it's so good. It's such a good moment. Like it's so good. Um,
I did love that old lady moment.
but I also loved America Ferrera because when I first heard about her, I was a young child. Like I was probably like maybe like 6th or 7th grade. I was really young. And she had like gotten a ton of backlash. She had done this show Ugly Betty and something political had happened and then something about like her weight, like people started attacking her and she
Oh yeah.
shot back. Like she made this very big public spectacle. She was very hated for a while. Like people were very like because she really dogged on the industry and like wait she had a bunch of like she was a little polarizing and so I think the fact that I had no clue her presence in this movie but watching her be such a victor on these issues I'm like damn that's full circle from where she kind of came from and her start kind of in like the cinematic like
Was that the
universe.
mom? The
Yeah,
the mom that
yeah,
was doing the drawings?
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep, so that was
I
awesome.
did love her. That cast in general was amazing.
Dude,
So if you have not seen it yet, definitely get out and see it. It is the number one box office. It had the number one box office ever for a woman director.
wow, yeah, I
Did you
read
know
that.
that, Cal?
Amazing. I think I did
Yeah.
read something like that. Yeah, it was awesome. I think I might have we should have shared that on our Instagram, but I don't think we did. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
so cool. So well done. And I
Yeah.
honestly, I will say before we move on, I really left the theater saying I'm confused on the outrage. Like truly, I mean, I've been seeing on my feed people who are like very like
Are you though?
I
With the people that are outraged?
seriously though, when I watched it, I tried thinking like if I was a dude or if I was a very conservative, some of the people who I do see commenting seem to be more conservative. I haven't seen a lot of left politically leaning people making the post. I've seen it more of the conservative side. That's just my personal experience. And I really did just sit down and think it's just weird that you wouldn't have seen that. Like one of the guys I saw post about it said that the movie was making it seem like every guy was like a horrible person or they were gay. And I was like, I actually don't really remember seeing any gay men in that. Maybe like one,
Nope.
maybe. Like, but it's just
Not
kind
that
of
I
funny. It
remember.
was just funny that some of the messaging I was reading about why to hate it or not see it, I just completely really, really it kind of went right over my head. I really didn't experience understanding that. So
Well, you can tell the people that thought it wanted all men to be gay. You can tell what they think gay looks like by how the Kens dress.
that's so true, dude.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so good. Anyway.
No, I mean, and I'm a little bit of a different dude, so I don't know if I can speak for on
Thank
all
God.
behalf of all dudes, but
Don't
I enjoyed the
ever.
movie.
They don't deserve your voice, honestly, in that kind of capacity. Just kidding, dudes. Some of you.
Most of you.
That was the finger guns. Wow. Most of you, the listeners of this podcast, I could probably definitively, well, except some of you, and you know who you are. But, all right, anyway.
I wish we knew who you were.
Oh, we do.
Maybe I don't. Well,
I'm dead.
It is an insane blessing and privilege to have Sycamore Creek Church as one of our sponsors on the Religious Dropouts podcast. When we launched this podcast, we never imagined accepting a church sponsorship. But this church really does just hit different. The community of people really do believe in Jesus and justice. They're also LGBTQ plus affirming, which means that all are included and welcome, no matter who we love. They put action and effort into working for racial equity, and they deeply care about being multiculturally curious, creative, and compassionate.
if there was a church the Religious Dropouts could preach a live sermon or podcast at, this would so be it. If church isn't for you, please ignore this ad. But if you are curious about what the body of Christ looks like, this Jesus-loving congregation is located in Lansing, Michigan, and is launching a campus in the Eastwood area on October 1st. Tell Pastor Tom that Brandon and Chelsea said hey. We're going to introduce, for the third time, Big Mad Energy.
What y'all mad about now? Y'all really pressed over that shit? Wow. Big mad. Y'all got big mad energy. Y'all just want an excuse to hate, acting like I really care, make yourselves feel great.
I love that freaking song. When it plays and I'm listening in my car, I want to rewind and just keep like, I'm like, yeah, I be bopping.
Yeah. No, I was so thankful Tyler McAdam got on the track for that one. That was great.
Bro, stop. I'm deceased. Absolutely not a shot.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Tyler, an amazing talent. So this week you're gonna have to fill us in a little bit on what this is, because I didn't know people were mad until you shared it with me.
Right. And I think a lot of
I've seen it a couple times. I've seen it a couple times on like Instagram stories or whatnot, which is shocking because a lot of the times the audience for me where I see the people that are big mad is Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
But explain this story. What's going on, Chels?
Yeah, so Tyler Childers released a song, and to be fair to Brandon, I didn't know people were mad about this either, but two different individuals, and this is the cool thing about our podcast is we start to get people who become like kind of regular listeners, like most of you guys, and they'll send us stuff, like they'll send in keyboard warriors, they'll send in like, and so two different listeners messaged me this past week, and they sent me one of them sent me this screenshot, so I'll just read this little because I think it tells you exactly what's going on. But it says Tyler Childers' new music video, In Your Love, and that's the name of the song, In Your Love, tells the story of same-sex love of two coal miners. And so the other person that sent, she actually sent me screenshots of comments of people commenting on that song on Facebook, just outraged, like very homophobic, very angry. And I was just like, okay, first of all, I forgot Tyler Childers was a person, but I love his stuff. Like I just forgot. It just slipped my mind. So let me bring that back and like let me see what's going on. And as I looked into this, I'm like, wow, people really are like they big mad. Like people are big mad. So I did pull this lyric out really quick, and then I'll kind of get your thoughts, Brandon, on this big mad energy moment. But this is one line that I just thought was so beautiful, because one of my friends that told me about this was telling me her experience was that someone sent it as like a love ballad to their partner, their straight partner. Like it's not a gay song. It's, you don't even know that, you really don't have any clue that there's any LGBTQ element to it at all until you see the music video, which still doesn't change the lyrics of the song. But anyway, this is one of the lines. It says, "'Cause it's cold out there, and you know some men search for ages for the love that I have found. So I will stand my ground." And it is just so beautiful, and it's just about this fight for love and not giving up, and it's a very, very beautiful video and a very beautiful song. And so I have some thoughts, but Brandon, I don't know, do you have anything you'd like to share, like, first, that kind of you think about this now that you kind of know?
Yeah, I thought I don't know who Tyler Childers is still,
Yeah.
but I watched the video. I thought the song was great, and I'm not normally a country music person, but I did feel like it had like soul vibes,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
just like that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought the song was a great song.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not a gay song,
Right. Exactly.
but the video, the
Yeah.
story was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought watching this story of these two guys fall in love. One gets from being a coal miner, I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
This is decades later, as the song goes on and as a chorus comes and another verse or whatever. And like just seeing the love and the way that they took care of one another, like I don't get the outrage because it is simple and wholesome. They love each other.
Mhm.
But two, I do get the outrage because we continue to see this kind of stuff
I know.
where it doesn't matter. And what's wild is if they were flamboyant gays,
Mhm.
they'd be hated
Yep.
for their flamboyancy.
Yep.
I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but hopefully I'm saying what is authentic
Yeah.
to me is
I'm
just like,
tracking.
but these guys are actually a really good representation of the
Reality.
diversity between
Yeah.
the reality of
Rugged.
gay people aren't monolithic.
Yeah.
So you don't get to paint a trope.
Yep.
But these guys are coal miners
Mhm.
falling in love, and people are big mad.
Yeah. Yep. I was thinking, I went to the Barbie movie this past weekend, the same day you did, which Brandon and I find stuff like this about ourselves all the time. It's so funny. Never talked about it, never whatever. We both just knew we wanted to see it. And literally within just a couple hours of each other, we were both going to see it. Same day. And I remember in one of the like theater commercials, because it's not a Coke commercial, but you always kind of get caught up because they're always drinking a Coke. But it was like one of those commercials that's like very Coke-esque, that very emotional polar bear. Wow.
Religious dropouts.
Such as this. Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Coke, would you like to sponsor us? Anyway, so the ad was this girl, and she was very focused on something, and you could tell was having a very hard time, and this woman comes, and it's her partner, but you don't know that because you never assume that, really. You're just waiting for her boyfriend, or it must be someone different. But anyway,
Right.
she takes her to the movies to get her out of this like trans like state or whatever. And at the movies, she like grabs her hand and like lays her head, like, now you know that they're together. They give this symbolism of like the intimacy between partners, that they are gay. And I looked over, I right in that moment, I got so emotional and I almost cried, because immediately I thought, when I was growing up, I just thought I was different, and I was so ashamed, and I felt so damaged, and especially cuz gay marriage was not legal. So it felt even grosser. Like it's way different now, than it was in 2001. You know what I mean? I just kept thinking how many movies I saw as a kid, and what it would have ever been like for me as an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or 10, name any age that was about,
Right.
Whatever, above 10 maybe, that I could have seen that. And it wouldn't have been perverted or wrong, or what it would have been is just representation for me. Like,
Yeah.
wait a second, that person looks like me, they dress like me, and it looks like they can also be that. And so I feel safe now. And I feel like the Tyler Childers video did just that for somebody. And I hope it was for gay coal mine. I hope the story's true, honestly. But
Yeah.
the representation of the beauty that love can look that way, to men that look like that, or to kids that love his music, or adults that are still full of shame and fear. Like, it's just the representation for me. Like, my God, I'm so thankful that we live in a time that whether you're big mad about it or not, it's still happening. Like, your representation is still happening,
And it would continue to. So if you're big
Yeah.
mad and you listen to our podcast, regardless of your madness, it's going to continue.
I love that. I love it. I'm pulling up we're going to have a caller real quick, so I'm pulling that up, but I just wanted to say, I think the representation goes far beyond sexuality. I remember when the first Paw Patrol, in a wheelchair was on the show, and Rory was like, wait, that's like my Aunt Casey, because my sister-in-law, Casey, who was one of our best friends, died at 35. Incredibly young, and it was very tragic, but she was in a wheelchair. That was how Rory knew her, my 4-year-old daughter. So when we get to see, there was a Barbie in a wheelchair, like, damn, that's so it's not just sexuality, it's handicap. I mean, there's so many different things, but I just thought the representation was super cool. So, we're going to go into a call, and it's kind of weird. This episode is kind of like, it's like a melting pot of all sorts of like different pieces, because we had Big Mad Energy, and now we do have a caller, and then I know we still have Keyboard Warrior, so it's kind of weird, but kind of hang with us, because we're going to jump around a little bit, because this caller actually references something from episode 7, I think, is the episode that she's calling about. And I think it's really important for us not to ignore these, because I want you to always feel safe as a listener. Like, if there's something you're listening to from episode 3, please call in. Like, we will still talk about that. And so I thought this voicemail was really important not to gloss over, so that we still can answer questions, even if we're, on episode 11 and we're talking about 7 now. But so.
Right. Well, and you might be new to the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you're new and you jumped in with us just a week ago.
Yeah. Now you might want to listen to 7 or check it out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do community here. So we're
right.
Yeah. Ask your question.
Yeah. No, for sure. Love that.
Hey guys. You guys can totally play this on the pod. I just was listening to episode 7 and I had a question. I'm like halfway through, so I'm not sure if you guys talked about it all the way, like at the end or not, but my question was, how do you find it hard to keep active relationships with people who are racist, either outwardly or just unintentionally racist? I was just listening to the episode and I was thinking about that, and I wanted to know your guys' perspective more. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye.
That's a good question.
Can you recap it, Brandon? Did you hear it okay?
Yeah, it sounds like she wants to know, do we struggle to keep or maintain relationships with people that are racist of any level, whether they know they are or not? I think that's the range that you're giving us is kind of the answer to, is if somebody is actively racist, that's a definite stop for me. Like, that's where it's going to be hard. So for me, generally those type of people tell on themselves. It comes with the Confederate flags. It comes with the BLM or anti-CRT kind of stickers. It also comes with some Let's Go Brandon kind of stuff.
It's on brand.
It generally tells on itself. I have plenty of relationships that's what they have. Because I have access to their hearts still, I'll stay in that. If I didn't, I'm out. Like, we're not running in the same circles, because.
Wait, what do you mean? If they weren't your family, you're saying?
If I have family and friends,
or
and
if
my
you
voice,
know their heart.
Yes, kind of. Not that I know their heart, but my voice lands in there. If I have like a vantage point in their life, like I could still speak into some of that racism.
Then you're not going to cut it off.
I'm not cutting it off.
Right. Okay. I get that.
I'm still there.
I get that.
The harder one for me is the ones that they are racist and they deny it and they don't know it. And they're not noticing the things that they stand up for always benefit their whiteness. And anytime you bring up anything about multicultural, ethnic, race, diversity, equity, they can't help but oppose it. And that's something deeply rooted that they're not willing to address. That is much harder for me to stay there, because I want to be a bridge in that aspect, but generally they're not ready to have that conversation.
Which is a
Chelsea?
great book, Be the Bridge, that we never talked about, which is kind of weird that we never talked about that book.
Yeah, it's a little Facebook group. It's a curriculum. It's super good.
I can't believe we never. Anyway, yeah, I think that you answered that question like pretty clearly. I don't feel like there's a lot of space that's needed to take on it anymore from that answer, because that's so clear cut, I think. But I think for me, there's so many facets to this question. Like if I see it on Facebook, they're removed immediately. If I hear it in my presence and they are in close enough proximity to me where I'm in the group, right? Not across the restaurant, but I'm in the group, and maybe even across the restaurant, honestly. And I hear it, I will address it confrontationally in that moment. I have done that a couple of times. I actually did it to a charge nurse a year ago now. So I have no issue confronting racism in any kind of environment that I'm in where it's exposed to me, which is kind of what you said, Brandon, that outward, like, you know it.
Yeah.
As far as relationships of people that might be like that, which I think is what I kind of heard from your question that hit me, was how do I keep these relationships? And I'm going to be honest with you. I know people that would say family doesn't matter to me, like blood doesn't matter to me. If something happens, if there's distrust, if there's bigotry, if they have boundaries, whatever, if these things are crossed, I'm cutting them out of my life and I don't care if they're blood or not. I, unfortunately and fortunately, biblically, and for a lot of other reasons, I don't maintain that position. I even have a dad that is estranged. I haven't spoke to my dad in over a year, but even after our horrible history and all of the things we've gone through, I still had reached out to him like a year ago to try to get dinner. I still extend a rope that really is undeserved. But I still do that because he's my dad. Like I want him to love me and I want to love him. Now, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I don't hold the mentality of like, it's done. I just don't.
Right,
and that's hard. So there are family members that I have that I'm not super close with, but that are racist in nature, and they will maybe say something in the family group chat, or they will say something when we're together, and I will immediately address it right there. But then I will still have a relationship with them because they are my family. And I know that there are listeners that will get annoyed by that. I know that they're like, that's not an excuse. But unfortunately for me, and where I hold blood and my family in my life, I do not cut those relationships off until I have to. But I give them a lot of chances where I will address it every time. You know, they don't get a pass, but I still want to love them. They're still my family. So it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I think I always want to go with people.
Yeah.
So that means if they're bringing up a conversation, or if they're bringing up a microaggression against people of color,
which happens a lot. Brandon,
happens a lot.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, if you think macroaggression is like, I flinched at you because I wanted to fight you, or it's just very an obvious form of hate or vengeance, maybe.
That's hard to see.
Somebody out here has got a Brene Brown good example of what microaggression is. But here's the Brandon Hamilton. That is macro. Oh, Chelsea.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, I remember the first time it was explained to me by a friend was when you're in a predominantly Black neighborhood and you lock your car 5 times. Yeah. Or you grab your purse. Like that doesn't necessarily look inherently racist. It is, but you don't necessarily know, you know. So anyway, I was just thinking of that story sheet. It was a Black woman that did that.
sometimes it's like if you are a professional Black woman in the workplace, you have a white coworker that says, girl, how'd you get this job? Like, you can tell there's something carried to that statement.
Definitely.
So a lot of the times I'll just be in conversation with family and friends and whatnot, and out of the blue, I've had family members that have macro and microaggression type
Same.
stuff, and
Same.
I've heard stuff that I'd be kind of ashamed to say on the podcast, to be real. Like,
absolutely, I wouldn't share it.
I wouldn't share it.
Mm-mm.
I just think I've leaned into confrontation a little bit, because I think that my love and respect of my family can carry a little bit of confrontation. It should be able to,
Definitely.
because I think I put a lot of equity into my relationships. So if and I think I'm gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone would say that, but I think I have no problem calling out and saying, you know what? I don't think that's the way we're supposed to be talking about that issue.
Yeah.
That might not be everything you thought it was.
Yep.
No, the Confederate flag is a racist symbol. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
Like, that's kind of the road we go down. And if my friends and family members decide they don't want to have those conversations anymore, they can, and they have left relationship with me. So
yeah,
I'm cool with walking that line.
I will be very careful what I say here, because I have reverence and grace and care for your family. But I will say, the interesting thing sometimes about families and these relationships are sometimes they make that call, even though you would still be willing to have a relationship. But because you are transparent and honest about your feelings towards racism, bigotry, all sorts of issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to worry or stress about what you'll do, because they take themselves out of your life. And that's very unfortunate and very sad. And I very much think it's not at all how God wants us to be with our families. But
I agree.
my point is, sometimes you don't have to worry, because they can't handle that kind of communication. They can't handle that kind of pressure to have hard conversations.
That is a them problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I feel like this might encourage the caller. I had to get over the anxiety that would happen to me when I felt like I needed to use my voice on something and then I didn't.
Oh,
that started to really bother me.
yeah.
So now I choose to have the anxiety after I say what I feel like I was supposed to say, whether that's by God or by my gut. And I'm good with trusting those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'll choose the anxiety after, of like the unsteady ground of like, what did I just get myself into conversation wise? I choose that. And honestly, now it's less and less shaky or less and less anxiety, but I'll let the cards fall, dude. Like, we'll go down I've realized it's made me more authentic to who I am. And it's made my circles more authentic too.
Yeah.
Because the people that are willing to run with me now, like, we're good.
Yeah.
Dude, it might be thinner than it was before. But I'm happy with the people that are authentic to who they are, that run with me too, in my authenticity.
Definitely. Yeah, amen. Well, we're going to kind of rotate over to our last kind of section that we have. Brandon's going to, in just a minute, we're going to introduce Keyboard Warriors.
And you're going to sing it this week, Chelsea?
Wow. You really left me open for that. Keyboard. I'm just kidding. You know, I was like, I just went with a very yeah. You went like very experienced, and I went very Christina Aguilera with it.
We're gonna cut all of this anyways.
Who know? Well, we don't really have choices now.
Insert Alicia. Brandon has no say in the matter.
We do. I will say before we go into Keyboard Warriors, we do have someone helping us on the podcast. We added someone to our team, which I just think
Yeah.
is so amazing. Because we want to keep adding. Brandon, I don't know, really quick. I think this is a great time. And we'll plug a couple things that we would love people to help us with, still needs that we have on the podcast. And then we'd love to thank our sponsor real quick. But Brandon, would you just name a couple places where we'd love to have some people on board with us?
Instantly, we need somebody to manage a website. We have several elements to make one. We've just been swamped.
Yeah.
We would love anybody that would want to drive like merch sales, sponsorship. If somebody's really good at getting funding, we would love if they can connect us with the right people, and they just steward those emails. Like, so a lot of remote stuff.
Social
Obviously,
media.
we're not in the offices right now. The religious dropouts has not recovered from.
I am.
So I think those are great things. Social media managers, TikTok content manager, like that would be amazing. And the Dropouts and Delinquents Facebook group. Yeah. We would love if people wanted to steward the community in there by actively engaging in there more than Chelsea and I can.
Yeah, I feel like our hands are really tied with the Facebook because we're so tied up with this, with the actual writing and podcast recording. But like when I dream of a community on Facebook, I dream of that being other people, not a community I have to also create. So like, yeah, it really would mean a lot to us. Some of those roles we just mentioned. So yeah, I mean, if any of that stuff just sounds like it's really you, I mean, we're not, we're very particular. I'm not going to lie. It's not a beggars can't be choosers situation. That's not like we actually have a pretty specific person that we're looking for. But if you think that could be you, like we'd love to just chat and connect you with us, because it'd be so fun to just keep adding to the team and what it could look like 20 episodes from now. Just could be really cool. So anyway.
So without further ado, Keyboard Warriors. All right, Chelsea, tell us about this keyboard warrior.
Dude, this keyboard warrior comes up close and personal. And I know, Brandon, you're going to kind of give us the full tea. But it was a comment that I am the social media manager, if you will. I am probably 10 different careers within my job at the shelter organization that I work with, the homeless organization, Oaks. So on our social media, we just had this man, this white 60, I think he's like 60, 62.
Source of wisdom is what you're telling me.
Yeah, fountain of youth, source of wisdom, been around the block. So yeah, go ahead, Brandon, and give us the summary there.
Oh, so I guess he wrote on Oaks Homeless Shelter Facebook page, and you guys were asking for meat donations for your food pantry. Shout out to anybody that donates or is considering donating to the Oaks Food Pantry.
And that's some of our listeners, so thank you so much.
Oaks definitely needs it. I've been there several times. The staff is incredible. And by staff, I mean volunteers. Like, I know there's some payroll to it, but the amount that you and several others there, Chelsea, give of yourselves, if it's not about the paychecks, whatever they are, whenever they come, you guys give of yourself in such a selfless way, and you guys see need daily, and I know because of my proximity to you, the way that need you carry. And you guys are just great people doing a lot of great things, dealing with a lot of systemic issues in your county.
Amen. Yeah, God.
And so this guy, Jeffrey, which in my experience has been a positive name, but in this situation, this is the worst Jeffrey I know. He wrote and said, Why do they need food again? These people need to get jobs.
You're joking. You're joking.
My favorite part of Jeffrey was, I learned this from my friend Drew. Is it Drew? Is her last name Uffle or something Low? It ends with Low. What's her last name? I can't think of what her last name is. Jackie would know.
Ruffalo?
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce.
Ruffalo?
Yeah. Drew baby. If you don't follow her on TikTok, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I learned from her to immediately go to their Facebook page. Like whenever you see someone shit on your life, immediately go to their Facebook. For example, one time this man who has like daughters, this middle-aged man, literally called me evil, but then had on his Facebook a picture of like God blocking the rainbow from his kids, saying like, I will not expose my kids to the LGBTQ. It's disgusting. So like, just take this, like, understand what happens when you look at someone who shits on you and you go to their social media. It tells you everything you need to know. And I learned that from Drew. So
someday, can we tell about that guy and what he did to the guy that poured concrete's business?
Bro, holy shit. Oh my God. So I have learned my lesson by the queen herself. And so I went to this man's Facebook page. Now his profile picture was an American flag because he bleeds Jason Aldean and anyone else that is a country artist. So that's who he is. That's his identity. So I look at his Facebook page, and the first post says Pastor Steve is just the caption. And the post is a photo. Or the top part says, white slaves were sold for centuries. And it is a picture of like Middle Eastern people holding like, I think what's almost a naked white dude. No way, bro. No way were you commenting on our Facebook page, why would we need food? All the while, you're sharing Pastor Steve's posts about white slavery.
Isn't that crazy that that's Pastor Steve's post?
Bro, Pastor Steve be exactly why we are dropouts of religion.
The rest of this picture says, all our ancestors took slaves, sold slaves, or were slaves. You're not special.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it was good. The bottom was even worse. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So back to the caller, what I would do in this situation is when you fuck around, you find out. And Jeffrey absolutely found out.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
No, it's been really sad. The seriousness of this though, I just don't think people get it. And this podcast is not an episode about homelessness, so I'm not going to go so far there. But I just want to say, like, sometimes these keyboard warriors are so hard because it's like the reality is you'll never change their perception of homelessness and homeless people and like who we feed at the food pantry. But a lot of them have jobs, first of all, and it's just not, they can't, it doesn't give enough to be able to live. And then a lot of them like are in process of getting jobs, but they have experienced PTSD. I mean, we work with a lot of veterans, Jeffrey, the American flag on your profile seems to suggest patriotism, but some of our people that are eating these resources are absolutely veterans. We serve a lot of veterans. I applied.
But you'd have to see through your racism to see anything else.
Exactly. So, I applied for a Tractor Supply grant. That's how many veterans and their whole grant is veterans. If you didn't know, that's their whole mission. Wow. And I even applied for Oaks. Think about our organization applying for a Tractor Supply, but I did because that's how many veterans we serve. So it's just like, just be quiet. If this is one of those, just, sit down, just take a seat, Jeffrey, and honestly, shut the fuck up. Like, that's my best advice for you.
Yeah.
But insane.
So Oaks definitely needs food still. So if you guys have an ounce of love and kindness in your heart, like definitely share with them.
Yeah, I
Man,
appreciate
that
that.
is wild.
I
And Jeffrey, you're welcome to come to the shelter.
Yeah.
They would happily
Mhm.
take your crazy ass around and show you things that would blow your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll give you a little tour. One last thing I kind of wanted to close out with, a couple thoughts, is this quote that I saw. So, I just thought this was really cool. We have experiences, I think, all the time where people, I feel like I hate saying this because it almost sounds like you're trying to be like a martyr, but like I have people very consistently call me like names, or will call like in the church, like people that are in the church that are still in the church that still lead
Hmm.
churches, will still call me like
Oh,
evil.
their pastoral staff, if you will.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Yep. Sure. If I absolutely will. Yeah. They'll say that I'm pure evil. I'm an evil person. There's even been someone that's called me a bitch. They that are in the church, like actively in the church right now as I'm talking. um, and so I thought, and the reason that they do that so frequently is because Brandon and I are creating an environment where we are talking about things that they're uncomfortable with, number one, and we allow people this freedom in religion that they're not stuck in a box, that they can be struggling with sexuality, they can be struggling with understanding scripture, they can be struggling with pornography or any of the things we've mentioned in the last couple episodes, and they're still loved and created by God. And when you say that, for some reason, when you include everyone in the story, you, to a lot of church people, in my experience, you become a piece of shit. I mean, am I off base or?
No. I mean, anytime in history you have said the table's large enough for people that don't look like me,
Mm.
that aren't like me, that's when the people in power get violent.
Yeah. And so I just want to read this quote because I thought that this quote really encompasses the mission that Brandon and I both share. And I also think it's like, this is the theology that we literally follow.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people who study theology or have studied theology who are very serious about understanding scripture that listen to this podcast. And for you, I will say this quote, I understand it's going to depend on how you define accountability, but also understand if you're someone who's very the scripture is legalistic.
Yeah.
Maybe. I just don't want you to throw this quote out because you think that, there were times Jesus said, go and sin no more or whatever. No, but he still never held people accountable. So I want to read this quote really quick. And it says, Jesus didn't hold people accountable. He just held them close because it works better. And that quote is by Bob Goff. And I just want to say, like, I really think that is the reality. And I know that it gets muddy, but the reality is, like, we are literally just following truly what we 100% believe. If Jesus was here, who he would be and how we could follow him would look exactly like this.
I love that quote. Bob really does throw out some good ones.
He does so many.
I've really enjoyed this conversation around representation, Christ likeness, really. I know that can be very generalized, but I really feel like if there's anything that we hear through these conversations around how Christians respond to some things in the media, it's Christ likeness. Like, what you're so far away from things when you think your job is to hold everyone accountable. So
true. So good. So good.
So I'm so glad Bob calls us all to kind of get a little closer, get a little uncomfortable.
Amen.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think that's a wrap. We love you guys.
We love you. Bye.
Hey fam, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Religious Dropouts podcast. We hope it gave you a space to breathe, to laugh, and connect. It's our hope that as you journey along with us, that you too might find yourself saying, damn, it feels good to be a dropout. Be sure to check out our show notes for links to anything mentioned in this episode, including ways to connect with us on social media. We'd also love for you to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with anyone you know who might want to join our community. You are loved. Have a great week.